The loft command, I suppose, is a transformation command. It allows you to take one shape and over a distance convert it to another shape. You'll see on the screen here I have drawn a rectangle, and above it I've drawn a hexagon. Now the rectangle has been drawn on this first plane here, on the base plane as it were, and I've drawn this one on an offset plane. So if we look at and turn on the offset plane, not that one, that one, and to do an offset plane, I'm not sure if we've covered it yet, you basically go into the construct mode, offset, and you can pick a plane or an object or a face or anything you want, and you drag it up and create an offset plane which you can then draw on. I'll go back off that because I don't want it. So we've got an offset plane with a hexagon and a rectangle. And what the loft tool allows us to do, it allows us to go from one shape to another in a natural progression. So the loft tool is available on the top bar, or as Mal showed us a number of times, you can also get at it on the create command. Unlike this, Mal cannot get at it on his favourite right click command. It's only on the toolbar if you've put it there, or on the create button down here, there. So the loft tool, and that brings up a box where we can now choose our profiles. So we would choose one profile, and we can see it there. The other one, we would choose the other profile, and it will loft to both of them. Let me turn off the plane so we can see it a bit more clearly. So you can see what's happened. We've gone from the rectangle up to the hexagon quite neatly. In one sense, if you remember when we'd done the extrude command, you could use that with a taper, but the extrude command would only work on the rectangle, square, circle or shape. It doesn't go from one shape to another. The loft command allows you to go from one shape to another. Having lofted it, you can still extrude both ends. So we could click on the extrude command, click on that one, and pull that up still further, and end up with a shape of that nature. Now the other thing with the loft command, a little bit like the sweep command in a way, is that we can fit guide rails into it. So let me just take away the command a moment, and what I want to do is put a guide rail. Now I'm going to put a guide rail between this shape and that shape. Now the guide rail I want has to be on this plane here, because I'm joining those two. So if I go into sketch mode and choose that plane, now the difficulty now is I can't really see my templates anymore, my profiles. So let's tilt the drawing slightly so we can see them. Now I'm going to put in a curve command, a straight line command, sorry, hit the line, and I'm going to go from, say, that point, and I'm going to bring it down, and you can see it does snap to it, to that point. So now I've got my two profiles, 1 and 2, and I've got a guideline in between. So I finish the sketch. Go into loft command, hit the one, hit the other, and it's the same. But now, of course, I've got, as we went to sweep, I got a guide rail, and the guide rail goes, whoops, lost it again. The guide rail goes from this bottom corner to there. So now instead of going up here, if I now click that one, that's the center line, that's on the rails, I've got a rail there, and I can come in and click on that rail, and you can see how the shape changes now. So what we've got is this corner is now extruded up to that point. That one goes to the next point, and so on. Now obviously, if I was to take one of these other ones up as well and put two guide rails on, you can start to get all sorts of weird and wonderful shapes. Let's go back onto something else with guide rails for the moment. Let's turn that one off, and we'll come back into this one now, where I've got turn that one off. I've got another rectangle here, and I've also done a rectangle up the side. Now, the way of getting that rectangle again is with an offset plane, and that is to select that plane, because I want the offset over here, up to construct, offset plane, and move it to where I want it distance wise. So I've already got one in there, and let's switch it back on so we can see it. Wrong one. So there it is there. So that rectangle is drawn on that plane. We turn those off so we can see what we're doing. So the next stage now is to invoke the Loft command again. Hit the Loft command, and if we're going from there to there, we end up with that shape. Now let's put a guide rail in again to see what the difference is. So what I'm going to do this time, the guide rails have to now be on a right angle plane, so it's going to be on this front plane here. And I'm going to go into create a sketch on that plane. And again, I go slightly like that so I can see them. And what I'm going to do is take the curved 3-point arc, and I'm going to click and connect to that corner. Connect down to this corner down here, and put an arc in. As I say, I'm ignoring dimensions and sizes because that's not what the exercise is about. And finish it. So now I've got my rectangle profile there, another one up there, and an arc in. And now if I go into the Loft tool, hit that one, and hit that one, I've got my shape. If I now go in here and I saw on rails, and I select the rail, the shape changes thus. Take the rail away, Loft there and there. So the rails can help you determine where the loft goes. You can have more than one railing if you want to. So let's just go back on that one. And let's just shove another rail in on the other side. And what we're going to do is on the same plane, so that's okay. And we're going to go there. Cancel a sketch a moment. And it's on that one. What I'm going to do this time is again 3-point arc, that one, down to that one, and I'm going to be silly and bring it out there. And this probably won't work, but we'll soon find out. Into the loft, that one, and that one, and into rails, and that does that one, and into that rail, and we end up with that shape. So you can see the Loft tool can be quite powerful. Now if we were to say that's okay, and let's just go back into that sketch, edit that sketch, and suppose we change the shape of this sketch. Let's put a shape, a cutout in it. You can see the Loft command now immediately changes. It goes from the rectangle at the bottom, and as it goes round, we come up with the top one. When we're in the loft, this allows us to use a center line instead of the rails. I very rarely use it. You have to draw a center line in, or it'll automatically run. Change selection is if you want to draw more than one line. We've covered that in previous things. And again on the operation, new body, join or cut. One instance on this, or just as we're passing, always be wary that sometimes the operation will default to cut if it sees another body that you're working with. Otherwise it defaults to new body, but if I was to add something on this body, it would default to join, and you don't always want that, because if you've added a join to it, it becomes difficult to edit. So try and keep individual bodies. I think that's about it on the Loft Command, to be honest with you. And again, you can still use the extrude, so you could still hit that and extrude that way to cut it, or bring it out this way to add a bit on. The the loft tool is a little bit like the sweep tool that we've looked at with regard to rails, is that you need to have a bit of a picture in your mind of what it is you're trying to achieve, I think, before you start doing it. Because as you can see, you can get into a bit of a knot if you're not too careful.